There's an army coming. And no, it's not just the furries. It's far worse. It's a bunch of bureaucrats that are coming to assault your rights for self-determination and discernment. All of this as we just got breaking news surrounding the CEO of Telegram that, in my opinion, has been absolutely politically targeted, and in the making of this video, we'll actually be seeing a judge. This after there was tremendous amounts of pressure put on by the international community that cares about free speech, as well as other governments like the UAE and Russia that participated in the larger pressure campaign, as the arrest of this man has left shockwaves to the rest of the world asking themselves, hey, maybe not everything is sacred and good like we thought it was. Maybe there is an unaccountable bureaucratic elite that are absolutely allergic towards freedom and self-expression. As this is the video of the Telegram CEO being taken to court to Paris right now, specifically highlighting two vehicles with flashing lights leaving the anti-fraud office where Durov was reportedly held for over 96 hours, as he's being officially released from custody after he faces 12 specific counts of failing to, quote, moderate illegal content on Telegram, aka being held responsible for something he didn't do himself, as of course they are trying to blame the actions of others on him, as of course Telegram has been a thorn in the establishment buttocks for a very long time, as of course a lot of people do a lot of illegal stuff on Craigslist, on Google, on Facebook, on TikTok, but for some reason all those illegal activities on those particular platforms, go unpunished. I wonder why. As of course, their CEOs aren't arrested, handcuffed, and facing some very serious charges and potentially 20 years in jail. So what's really going on here? As he will now be facing questioning at a Paris court with potential indictments on the horizon that will be, of course, determining his faith. As of course, this man was held for the maximum allowed time under French law, 96 hours in detainment. What happened? What was he questioned about? What was he interrogated about? What were the larger asks of the French state and probably other intel agencies involved here that had him in custody and under their thumbs? As of course, everyone understands that this is not about criminal activity on Telegram. This is far more political. This has to do with the direct attack on freedom of speech, as clearly everything happening here is very politically motivated. As the French president and former Rothschild banker globalist stooge Emmanuel Macron came out and said today that the French government was not involved here and that this is not a, quote, political case, which everyone is mocking and laughing at him for saying, because clearly this is all very political, as we also found out, according to some news reports coming from France, that Pavel Durov, the CEO of Telegram, was reportedly supposed to have dinner with Emmanuel Macron, and that was the ploy to get him into the French country, where he was abruptly arrested on his arrival. Now, is that the case here? Well, we still haven't heard directly from Durov here, but it wouldn't surprise me if this was some of the dirty-handed tricks used against him, as the Telegram CEO is telling police allegedly that the reason he flew to France was to, of course, meet with its country's leaders, specifically Emmanuel Macron, that allegedly personally invited him to dinner, luring him in, setting up a trap, and then, of course, arresting him, while now trying to obfuscate the true reality of what's going on here, saying, oh yeah, nothing political here at all. Yeah, right. As of course, there's larger remnants of other governments being involved here. We're going to be talking about that in just a little bit. As the Russian government is now demanding full access to Pavel Durov, who is a dual citizen in Russia and France, as Russian diplomats have been officially denied access by French officials to Durov, as even the UAE is putting pressure on France, specifically demanding that all consular services for Durov are, of course, provided to him, as they're saying service for their citizen is also a top priority for them. As of course, we await to find out more details of what really is going on here, as of course he is now officially being transferred from police custody. And now, of course, starts the larger speculation to why all of this happened. Now, of course, we have the superficial kind of response here. Freedom of speech is directly under attack. There's probably going to be some major events that are going to be happening soon that the establishment probably is very insecure about and wants to have a total control of the narrative about. Probably larger geopolitical escalations or technocratic infrastructure false flags potentially that could happen here. And if they do, having a control of information is absolutely key here. And again, these are my own personal assertions. These are my own personal opinions. As of course, on a deeper level, online commentator Mike Benz put more into perspective here as he details that 2 weeks after Tucker Carlson interviewed the CEO of Telegram, the CIA-founded Radio Freedom Europe, run directly by the CIA for its first 20 years, ran a long piece insinuating Russia was secretly controlling Telegram and Ukraine should have seized control of it as a military intelligence imperative. As of course, we have the article here from May 17th, 2024. As Mike Benz later goes on and details how the United States has spent nearly $300 billion on the Ukrainian military and their larger aspirations. And there's a lot of front lines news reporting of what's really happening in Ukraine, in Russia, that of course goes reported unbiasedly on Telegram, which provides a larger counterbalance to the larger propaganda efforts that we have continued to see on the American corporate media. As of course, if you go to all the Western media outlets, they're showing you a perspective of this conflict that is there for pure propaganda purposes. There's no aspect of any kind of reality in it, truth in it. There's stories and stories of Russian waves of soldiers that just keep getting mowed down all the time, when in reality, the situation on the ground is far more complex and far more troubling for the Ukrainians than they would want them and their countrymen to know about. And of course, it's this larger kind of on-the-ground reporting that goes unbiased, that provides a perspective from the Ukrainian side, from the Russian side, that does give us a kind of larger truth to the reality of the nature of what's really happening here. That, of course, is a direct threat to the establishment. And I would agree with Mike Benz. You don't spend $300 billion on a war effort and not have control of the comms and the messaging behind it, which is essential for its victory. As of course, in an ever so technocratic world, the information war is far more important in many instances than the actual war. And when it comes to morale, when it comes to motivation, when it comes to, of course, convincing the local population to continue this conflict, it is essential to, of course, stop any voices that dare to speak out against it. Since, of course, this is a gambit that the majority of people are automatically against, but need to be convinced of repeatedly. And if you have Telegram interfering in that, you, of course, have a motive to take out Telegram. And that's exactly what I think happened here. As, of course, I even depend on a lot of my information that I get, specifically when it comes to larger conflicts that are unfolding, from Telegram. I'm literally on all the Ukrainian channels. I'm on all the Russian channels. I'm seeing both sides, both perspectives from actual conflicts that are unfolding on the ground, getting two sides of the story here to be able to actually discern what really is going on here. A perspective that is ever so needed for the American public that is financing this, as well as the Ukrainian people that, of course, are giving up their lives for this, that deserve the truth and reality about the current situation, not propaganda that, of course, fulfills the larger wishes of the military-industrial complex that is filling their pockets with your money and the blood of young Slavic men that are losing their lives pointlessly. And that's why Telegram, in my opinion, has such a larger target to it. Now, Mike Benz also decided to specifically go even deeper on this, specifically detailing the larger geopolitical interest of France here, as of course there are ongoing proxy conflicts right now happening between France and Russia inside of Africa as the two nations are battling for natural resources that are imperative for its larger energy independence. As Mike Benz says, Russia's military is kicking France's butt in multiple countries with critical resources for France's economy. Russia's whole military is, quote, built on Telegram. He went on and then tweeted again, 70% of France's electricity comes from nuclear. Niger is key to France's uranium supply. France lost Niger to Russia in a military coup recently, and now all these former French colonies are breaking off ties with Ukraine too, highlighting a larger kind of resource war that probably is unfolding here that Telegram is playing a key crucial role in. As let's be honest here, there's probably multiple factors to why Western elites wanted to take down Telegram, as highlighted by Tucker Carlson that recently had RFK on as the two discussed the matter, as they described the larger involvement of Western intelligence here in a perspective that I think is important for everyone to listen to.
The Biden administration encouraging France, Macron, to arrest the owner and founder of Telegram, Pavel Durov, who's now, as of right now, in a French prison. That seems like, I mean, that's the hallmark of dictatorship, it sounds to me.
Yeah, well, we've lost Europe. Europe is now, does not have free speech. Look what's happened to Elon Musk. And Elon Musk should be the hero of the Democratic Party. Of the old Democratic Party, he wouldn't be the hero. Somehow he became a villain because he was actually the only platform that would allow free speech on his platform. And he's now become a villain because of it, because the Democratic Party does not believe in the people. If you don't believe in free speech, it means because you don't trust the people. You don't trust them to figure it out on their own, to have information on which they can base their ideas and their notions and their beliefs.
And their votes.
And that the government has to protect them from dangerous information, from things that might put bad ideas into their heads. And it's very patronizing, but it's also very manipulative and conniving, and really it's exactly the opposite of democracy.
As of course, let's be honest here, the current federal government and intel agencies have a long track record of pressuring, intimidating, and in some instances, actually forcing social media companies like Telegram, but in the Western world, to do their bidding, to run their propaganda, and to censor dissenting voices, including even satirical and comedic ones from the discourse, because the federal government decided that they just didn't like it. And because of that, this is exactly what we have seen recently with a major admission from Mark Zuckerberg that came out and wrote a letter saying that it was the Biden administration that pressured them to censor stories that, of course, led to tremendous amounts of human harm, that if they got the truth of, would have prevented a significant harm to the local population. The Biden administration, of course, was the organization that spread a lot of disinformation, a lot of propaganda that came out not to be true. The White House is now, of course, denying a lot of these allegations, but the track record of what happened on Facebook is pretty clear, as, of course, independent media organizations like myself were heavily censored and destroyed from having any kind of larger voice out there. As, of course, this larger pressuring does highlight a larger situation that is pretty dastardly, that is very underhanded, that is, in my opinion, very ruthless and evil, and is highlighting how the state is absolutely allergic to individuals just being able to communicate and speak to each other. As, of course, Mark Zuckerberg probably released this letter. There's a possibility he did it because of what happened to the CEO of Telegram, as he could be seeing the writings on the walls and seeing a situation where he no longer will have a company. He no longer will be the CEO, as of course the federal government will have full control of it under the continued Biden-Harris administration that looks to, of course, rule the political scene for the next 4 years. As very interestingly, Vivek Ramaswamy actually just now in an interview came out and says that he personally encouraged Mark Zuckerberg to apologize for the larger Facebook censorship that happened out there. And it looks like that's pretty much the case of kind of what happened here.
I think you'd actually make the same argument for just saying that you get to say what you want in this country. We become too neutered by trying to have central moderators of who decides what you can and can't say. And, his response was, well, look, I'm actually a lot more pro-free speech than people might know. And I've actually known a lot of his own tendencies. I believe that's actually probably true. It's about bending the knee and buckling to pressure. And so what I told him, and he said he would think about it, is, hey, listen, man, I think you could actually do a service to this country if you just came out, if it was in your heart, if you actually meant it, if you say you're pro-free speech and you actually mean it, to just say, hey, I screwed up. You know what? Locking Donald Trump out of an account, a major president of the United States and now presidential candidate, to say that the decision to silence somebody and suppress them, even if I agree or disagree with what they had to say, was making the decision under pressure, under forces of pressure where a lot of people were buckling to outside pressure. We become neutered as a country, and all of us are subject to that kind of pressure, and some of us screwed up, and I screwed up. And if I were to make that same decision again, I wouldn't make the same decision. If you said that, I think that would have a therapeutic effect on the country. That's a form of a...
Is that exactly what happened here? Well, potentially. As, of course, there was a kind of larger impact to the letter that Mark Zuckerberg decided to release that does highlight the larger importance of people being able to speak to each other. Because if you look at all the efforts of censorship, if you look at all the disinformation and propaganda that the federal government forced down our throats, it had an extremely negative effect that impacted lives and in some instances even cost lives. And it's not just Facebook that participates in this, it's the very platform that we are on right now. And the few platforms that allow people to actually speak openly and freely in a truthful and honest ways or enemies of the state and targets of it. As of course, free speech is a larger disinfectant towards a sick society, and there's a bunch of sick people within government that want the dialogue to be absolutely disgusting, pathetic, and of course, vile. Truth is the enemy of lies, and an empire built on lies will collapse after, of course, it is exposed. And freedom of speech is put by Rob Schneider more important than anything else, as highlighted by one of his comedy specials where someone was a little bit upset, and I think Rob Schneider handled it perfectly.
Everything okay? No. Are you mad? You okay?
No, he's not mad. No, he is.
You're mad?
Yeah.
That's okay. You know what the cool thing about it in America is? Free speech isn't the speech you like. Nice stuff's not what needs to be protected. It's the stuff that you hate that needs protection, so that somebody like the government or you doesn't get to decide what everybody else gets to hear. Okay? And you're more than welcome to disagree and write an act and get on stage and sell out like I just did. You know? But
Very well put. Something that, of course, is worth considering, as, of course, that very cool thing about the United States is under direct attack and duress by the state that wants full and utter control of it. There are individuals within government that are making enemies out of citizens who clearly just want to be able to have free speech in this country. We have already lost a significant portion of it, especially in the United Kingdom, where people are literally being arrested for causing offense and anxiety to people by posting information that some people disagree with. And if we had the way that the globalists wanted with us, individuals like Rob Schneider, individuals like Elon Musk, Chris Pavlovsky, and many others, possibly even including myself, would already be in jail. That's the threat. That's the situation that we're facing. As of course, I think it's more important to speak up now more than ever before we, of course, all end up in jail. And again, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys signing up on lukeunfiltered.com. If you haven't signed up for that yet, what are you waiting for? We have exclusive videos that are far more wide-reaching, deeper down the rabbit hole, and more eye-opening than anything you would expect, all on lukeunfiltered.com. We have the link down in the description below. If you haven't signed up for that yet, what are you waiting for? It's quick, it's easy, it's simple, and of course, it supports this independent media organization. We need your help now more than ever. You are crucial to the larger efforts of everything we are trying to do here. Click the link in the description below, and you could sign up for whatever you could afford. It's quick, it's easy, it's simple, and then you get access to a lot of really incredible things, including 3 master classes, a forum, members-only t-shirt store that you get exclusive t-shirts only available for members at cost. We just released a brand new one that is absolutely awesome that I am very proud of. And you also get the ability to call into our live show that we do here 3 days out of the week. Our next show is going to be this Sunday. Stay tuned for that. Click subscribe and the notification button. I love you guys. Wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys sharing this broadcast, and that's why I love you. Stay tuned for more here on youtube.com/wearechange.